I still think a lot of people don't realize how undersea cable communications is so important for the financial markets. It's what keeps London the center of finance for the world, really. It's not New York. And New York, the second biggest center, connected. And if there's a glitch there, even if it's a false flag, they can do anything they want. They can use that as an excuse to really, force majeure or change the rules. And that's why I don't trust the paper market. Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Well, Rudy and I got wet this morning. It was really pelting down and it was cold, but he was a really good boy, Rudy, and he's dry now. But as I look out now, it's starting to snow a little bit. It's a bit sleety, so not very nice weather, but we're going to look at something really interesting this morning because back on September 28th this year, I interviewed John Perez of Silver's Money. I think he's got a Telegram chat. You should check that out. I'm going to try to find the name of it, and I'm going to put it in the description. And even though I'm a skeptical person, I'm the home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I was a little bit skeptical about what he told me about these undersea cables that could be in trouble or that they could be sabotaged by Russia. Well, sabotaged by Russia, and that it could be used as an excuse to have like basically force majeure in the LBMA and Comex markets for silver and gold. And we were talking, and I found an article while we were talking from the Atlantic Council, which is a very establishment publication, think tank. And the article had come out a couple weeks before we were speaking. And it said, as you can see here, concerns grow over possible Russian sabotage of undersea cables. And yes, a lot of the communications between the City of London and New York are done through undersea cables. A lot of the communications for the derivatives, everything that goes on. And that's just not just the futures market, but OTC derivatives, which is huge. All the communications between the banks are done through these fiber optic cables. Of course, the original cables were copper, and it's one of the reasons back in the 19th century is one of the reasons why the exchange rate between the pound and the dollar is called cable, because they could communicate the exchange rates in London and New York, and it became known as cable. And I thought at the time, wow, this is interesting. And prior to speaking with John, I also spoke to David Jensen a week before about the LBMA. And I highly recommend you watch that interview. And he explains how the LBMA works. And the title of the interview was "The London Bullion Market Has Sent Gold and Silver Supply to the Moon." And how can you do that? Well, through paper, through basically making it up. So we've known in the last month or so, month and a half, that gold and silver have picked up quite a lot. Silver's approached 35. Yes, it was bashed down after the election results in the US, back down below 30. And we know that the shorts, the open interest for the short positions on Comex is still huge, and it's mostly controlled by big American banks. And aside from Comex as well, of course, LBMA is an even bigger market. Comex is supposed to be just a futures market. Yes, there is physical delivery sometimes, and the LBMA is supposed to be a physical market too, but it's anything but. And again, I highly recommend you listen to David Jensen. So, and we're also seeing recently that there's a lot of demand for silver. Even the Silver Institute came out, I think last week, saying that the supply deficit is going to grow or is still going to be present in the next year. I see here that there's news from Oriental Ghost at Oriental Ghost, _Ghost, who I follow on Twitter. He's a silver analyst from China, and someone tweeted about Oriental Ghost. It's Make Gold Great Again, and it says at Oriental _Ghost says China now needs 9,000 tons of silver a year for industry. That's 35% of silver mining supply. And yesterday, King Kong as well, or Eric Yung from Hong Kong, he's an avid follower of gold and silver. He posted this on X. Wow, it looks like the SGE, Shanghai Gold Exchange, is lowering its execution threshold of its physical silver contracts across the board by almost 40%. It looks to me that physical silver supply might shrink drastically at the Shanghai Gold Exchange. It's with all that in mind that I've spoken about that when I saw this story come out yesterday, I retweeted it to John Perez, and he retweeted it to me as well. And it's about this undersea cable here that's been damaged between Finland and Germany, and it's even coming out now in the FT. And the story says Germany and Finland deeply concerned about severed undersea cable. Foreign ministers do not rule out sabotage as part of Russia's hybrid warfare. So yeah, they're already talking about Russia being involved, which is not surprising. They need someone to blame, right? And this, as John Perez said, could just be like a false flag. It might not even happen, but they could use it as an excuse for force majeure. What does that mean? Well, they'll have to close the market for a while. They'll have to implement what John Perez told me was Rule 589 for silver. It's like a limit up rule for silver. Silver trades up $3 or $4. I'm not sure how much. They stop it for a while and then they reopen. So silver, the silver price that we see on the screens, the Comex or the LBMA spot price, they're all like artificial prices, I would say. They don't, they set the price, but they haven't really done a good job of price discovery. And that's because the LBMA, they've sent gold and silver supply to the moon. And that's the only reason why the price of silver has stayed suppressed. But and I think the powers that be, the bullion banks, know that, and they need to find an excuse to manage their exit from their huge paper shorts, because they can see that it's not just China that's buying a lot of silver, but also India, and they need to get out of this big short, because not just in silver but gold, because they could lose tens of billions of dollars, and there's not enough physical silver out there to cover all their claims. So what better way to do it than blame some kind of sabotage of these undersea cables, not just between Finland and Germany, but also between the UK and the US. I saw the other day another story about worries of Russians being involved in trying to sabotage undersea cable between the UK and Ireland. It's all out there. So yeah, that looks very interesting. And what does that mean for the price of silver and gold? Well, I'm not too concerned about those things. I think longer term, gold and silver are going to keep going up only because we are in a reserve currency regime where the reserve currency is a fiat currency. And the only way to keep going is more and more debt, more and more currency debasement. Of course, one day it will all implode in a hyperinflationary or even a deflationary collapse. And I want to have gold and silver. But in the interim, we could see some fireworks in silver and gold. And it might not even be the price. It might be that they have to close or halt trading in the LBMA and Comex, and no one knows what the price of silver is, or maybe not. The title of my interview with John Perez was "Silver Runs Wild While Stock Market Faces a Red October." Yes, we are in November, and he got the timing wrong, but I think what he spoke about, very few people had covered, and I think even if it happens in November or December or early next year, I think John Perez has found something very interesting, and I think I need to have him on the channel again. But anyway, that's what's going on out there. What I wanted to talk about now before we look at the markets is about Dirty Men Safe. They're one of my affiliates. So Dirty Men Safe provides hidden protection and instant access to your valuables. And I highly recommend you go onto their website and do a little bit of research. They have some very interesting reviews, like YouTube video reviews by real people who bought Dirty Men Safe. And as I said, I'm affiliated with them. I've got a link below in the description, and if you use that link, you get 10% off if you decide to get a Dirty Men Safe, and they'll send you a special gift as well. So back to the markets now. It's 8:45 a.m. London time, and yes, we're seeing gold and silver continue to rally. Some would say it's because of the geopolitical situation, the possibility of World War III because of Biden's declaration that the Ukrainians can use long-range missiles against Russia. But at the same time, I read here in the FT this morning that it says here, G20 waters down support for Ukraine amid pressure for peace talks. European troops in Ukraine would secure Trump peace deal, says Estonia. So Rafi was on my live stream on Sunday, and we spoke about this topic because the Biden announcement came out on Sunday. And he thinks, and I kind of agree with him, that the Russians are not going to be provoked into starting some kind of conflagration, even though it's possible. I would hope that they don't. So maybe gold and silver are not really going up because of that. Maybe partly, but I think it's just because gold and silver corrected quite a bit and quite quickly, and they were oversold. Is the correction over? I don't know. We still need to wait a week or two, I think, to see if we're able to get back up above 2,700, for example, in gold. But this morning, we are at 26.26 as I speak here. And gold is up about $14, right near the highs. The low has been 26.10. And we're seeing silver up as well, not as much as gold today. So silver's underperforming a little bit. It's up only 10 cents or 1/3%, 31.27. High's been 45 and the low's been 31.12. But one thing I would say, it's really difficult to time, if you try to time these moves to buy real physical gold and silver, because you've seen now that we went below 2,600. I think we got down to like below 2,550 in gold, and we got below 30 in silver, but it wasn't for too long. And sometimes it happens overnight while the American viewers who watch this are probably asleep. So what I'm trying to say here, unless you were a trader of paper gold and silver, you should worry more about stacking whenever you can, and that's what I do. And by stacking, of course, I mean buying physical gold and silver, because that's the only way to protect your savings, in my opinion. So anyway, what about the stock market? Well, the Dow futures is down 60. The NASDAQ 100 future is down 34. S&P is down about 8. What about the foreign exchange market? Well, the pound is down slightly, about 0.2%, 126.56. The euro as well is down a quarter at 105.73. And the dollar actually is down versus the yen quite a bit, which is interesting. It's down about 2/3% at 153.64. I haven't looked at the news concerning the yen or the BOJ right now, but there must be something out. What about crude oil? Well, WTI crude is down 2/3% at 68.71, and Brent as well is down about 2/3, 72.70. What about the bond market? Well, as I've said recently, we need to keep an eye on it. Well, there's a bit of relief. Bond prices are up this morning. The 10-year yield is down about 4.5 basis points, which is a significant amount in the quiet overnight market. We are at 437. So there you go. Let's keep an eye on silver and gold. Let's keep an eye out for these stories about undersea cables. I think more and more people are finding out about it. And I still think a lot of people don't realize how undersea cable communications is so important for the financial markets. It's what keeps London the center of finance for the world, really. It's not New York. And New York, the second biggest center, connected. And if there's a glitch there, even if it's a false flag, they can do anything they want. They can use that as an excuse to really, force majeure or change the rules. And that's why I don't trust the paper market. That's why I've been telling people for years that the only way to really have gold and silver bullion is physical, not paper. So there you go. With that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.